Picture yourself standing on a small wooden canoe in the middle of the greatest ocean on Earth. Turn a full circle. In every direction, all you see is water stretching to the horizon, and then thousands of miles more beyond it. No land, no lights, nothing. Now, somewhere out there, over the curve of the planet, there's an island. It might be smaller than a single town, and your job is to find it. With no map, no compass, no GPS, no instruments of any kind, not even written words. Just you, the canoe, and the sea. It sounds impossible, and yet, thousands of years ago, ancient humans did exactly this. Again and again, they crossed the vast, open Pacific and found nearly every speck of land in it. So today's question is one of the greatest in all of human history. How did they do it? Were they just lucky? Did they drift and stumble on a land by pure chance? Or did these people, with no technology at all, master a science of navigation so precise that we did not truly understand it until the modern age? To find out, we need a compass built entirely from stars, an ocean you read with your own body, birds that point the way to land, and a single voyage that finally proved the truth. Let's open the file. First, let's kill the lazy assumption, one that people believed for a long time, that the Pacific Islands were settled by accident, by castaways blown off course, drifting helplessly until they washed up on some random shore. It is comforting, it is simple, and it is wrong. The Polynesians were not drifters. They were deliberate, expert explorers. Over centuries, they set out on purpose again and again and settled a triangle of ocean so vast it takes your breath away. From Hawaii in the north to New Zealand in the south to Easter Island in the east. That triangle covers more than 10 million square miles, most of it open water. It is by far the largest area ever settled by any people anywhere, and they mapped it and mastered it in wooden canoes without a single instrument. So how? It starts with the sky. At night, the greatest tool a navigator had was the stars, but not as a vague, romantic guide. They used them with the precision of a machine. A master navigator carried a tool in their mind called the star compass. Here is the genius of it. Every star rises in the east, arcs across the sky, and sets in the west. But crucially, each particular star always rises and sets at the very same point on the horizon, night after night, year after year. That fixed point becomes a direction you can steer by. So a navigator memorized the whole sky, hundreds of stars, and the exact order in which they rose. They divided the horizon into a ring of houses and knew which star would appear in each one. As one guiding star climbed too high, they simply switched to the next star rising behind it, holding their course all night long. Think about the sheer memory that takes. No notes, no charts, no compass needed. Just a living map of the entire night sky, held perfectly in one human head and passed down by heart from master to student across a lifetime of training. But the sky is not always there. Clouds roll in. Storms cover the stars for days. And this is where Polynesian navigation goes from impressive to almost unbelievable. Because when they lost the sky, they read the ocean itself with their bodies. Far out at sea, powerful swells roll in from distant storms thousands of miles away, and they are remarkably steady, marching in the same direction for days. A navigator learned to feel these swells and use them like invisible lines drawn across the ocean to hold a straight course. And they felt them in the most astonishing way. The very best navigators would lie down flat in the hull of the canoe and feel the way the boat rocked and pitched beneath them. From the rhythm of the rolling, in their own hips and spine, they could sense several different swells at once and keep their bearing. And here is the most incredible part of all. When a swell rolling across the ocean hits an island, it bends around it and bounces back off it. So a master navigator, lying in their canoe, could feel the faint echo of a swell reflecting off land that was still far over the horizon, long before any island could be seen. As they drew closer to land, the ocean began to whisper more clues, if you knew how to listen, and the finest navigators noticed everything. The single most reliable sign was birds. Certain seabirds sleep on land, but hunt for fish far out at sea. So every morning, they fly away from their island, and every evening, they fly straight back home to it. A navigator who spotted these birds at dawn or dusk simply had to follow their flight, and it would point like an arrow straight to hidden land. And the clues kept coming. The color of a distant cloud, glowing faintly green where it hung over a shallow lagoon. A stray leaf or a floating branch drifting on the current. Even the pattern of the waves, changing as they bounced off an unseen shore. To a trained eye, the empty ocean was covered in signposts. All of this skill rode on an incredible machine. Not a simple raft, but a double-hulled voyaging canoe. Two long hulls lashed together, with a deck across the middle and great woven sails. Fast, stable, and strong enough to cross an ocean. These canoes carried everything a new world would need. Whole families, pigs and chickens, precious plants and seeds to grow on distant, empty shores. Each voyage was not just a trip. It was an entire civilization, packed into a wooden boat, gambling everything on finding land. And they found the needles in the haystack. Tiny volcanic peaks and low coral rings, scattered across an ocean that covers a third of the whole planet. They reached Hawaii. They reached New Zealand. They reached remote Easter Island, one of the loneliest places on Earth. All of it by canoe. And they did it all with no writing whatsoever. Every star path, every swell, every sign was memorized and turned into chants and stories, passed from a master navigator to a chosen student over many years. This knowledge was a treasure, carried only in living minds. And that treasure was almost lost. As the modern world arrived, the old voyaging faded, and the great navigators grew few. By the 20th century, many believed the ancient skill was gone forever, and doubted it had ever truly worked at all. So, in 1976, a group set out to prove it. They built a traditional double canoe called Hokulea, and a navigator named Mau Piailug, one of the last living masters, agreed to guide it. From Hawaii all the way to Tahiti, thousands of miles, using no instruments at all. Only the stars, the swells, and the birds. And it worked. Guided only by the knowledge in one man's mind, Hokulea crossed the open Pacific and arrived, precisely, at its tiny target island. It silenced the doubters forever. The ancient navigation was real. It had never been luck. It was a science as exact as any in the world. So put it all together. How did ancient humans cross the ocean with no map? Not by luck, not by drifting, but with one of the most sophisticated systems of knowledge our species has ever created, held entirely inside the human head. They carried a compass made of stars, a map written in the swells, a living library of birds and clouds and currents. They did not have a single instrument because they themselves were the instrument tuned over a lifetime to read a world we can barely perceive. And that leaves an uncomfortable thought for us. Today, most of us cannot find our way across an unfamiliar city without a glowing arrow on a screen. We have satellites circling the Earth to whisper every turn into our ears. And the moment they switch off, we are lost. The Polynesians gained the whole Pacific with nothing but their senses and their memory. We gained satellites, and we quietly handed away the ability to read the sky, the sea, and the birds at all. They looked out at an empty ocean and saw a page covered in writing. We look at the same ocean and see nothing but water. The greatest explorers who ever lived used no tools at all. Just a canoe, the courage to sail straight into the unknown, and a mind sharp enough to hold the entire ocean inside it. And they proved that the most powerful instrument for finding your way has always been, quietly, the human being who is truly paying attention. And tomorrow, we follow ancient humans to the edge of life itself. Long ago, people buried their dead covered in a brilliant red powder, again and again, all over the world. Why did ancient humans bury their dead in red paint? Subscribe and find out tomorrow.